Hello, gorgeous, and a warm welcome to Accepting. I'm Aline, your host, and in this special episode, Susanne Neff returns to speak with us, the complete warrior that she is. And we are going to be feeding into how do we navigate the final month with the wood snake to move forward with excitement into the year of the fire horse. So we're going to be really feeling into that. And although, yes, we're in the 1 year now, we're still being invited to nurture and look after ourselves and get ready for that burst in February into the fire horse. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself cozy, and let's dive in. It's so gorgeous to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for understanding as well yesterday. Yeah, it was bless. I mean, my reaction to that was basically I felt into what the message was and just took it completely all on myself. So, and then I got my period after 53 days.
Yeah. And I also have the feeling like what you said with your cat Cleo, that loss and grief and whatever, it really haunts us for a while. Like it's not that we say, oh, somebody's gone and like just get over it.
Yeah, exactly what you were saying. Grief doesn't have any, that there's no
End date.
end date. No,
Like,
absolutely
okay,
not.
the year is over, you have to feel no more grief and whatever, because sometimes it just hits you hard. And I think that's what I don't even know if I sent it to you or suggested it to you. If we should talk today about grief and loss and how to deal with it with plants and how they can help us as companions, because like that's really my forte, I would say, with the earth.
Perfect. That would be amazing. I'm outside under the tree of love. I've opened the medicine wheel. Love, compassion, and gratitude is what we're all about here. So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah,
First of all, how are you? I haven't spoken to you in yonks.
yeah, I'm really well. I'm really well.
The last time we spoke, we were talking about about your project, and this is going to tie in nicely when we talk about the plants, because we were talking about your project for the a beautiful land where animals come to heal, where humans come to heal, and where the earth heals. How's that all going?
Well, to be honest, like nothing progressed in that regard because I didn't really have time to take care of it. I was just busy working, and so I did a lot
Yeah.
of family constellations, personal coachings, astrology readings, and so I developed my own kind of way how to do family constellations in a shamanic way where I integrate all that I learned with Christus and Foster. And so the interesting thing is that I integrated now is all I learned about herbs that I originally learned for horses, for healing horses. And also now I integrated it with, or I brought in also crystals. And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing astrology. And the oldest form of astrology is like Hellenistic or Vedic astrology, where they were using the upaya to correct the birth chart with the help of herbs and crystals, because if a child was born, they did a horoscope, and then they would say, oh, this child has too much fire, so we would need some herbs that are more from the moon, whatever, to balance it out. So it's all again about balancing and
Yeah.
equilibrium. And also, like, if we're talking about grief, it's like we are out of whack in a way, and we need to find back our way to the center or to peace or
Yeah.
stillness or alignment with our higher self, that we have the feeling all is good again. And yeah, even when our loved animals are gone, and sometimes even like, of course in the first year it probably hits you the hardest, but then even sometimes after years, if you talk about it, all of a sudden you start sobbing or whatever. And I
Body remembers. Yeah.
yeah, of course. And it's a cellular memory. And I have the feeling the plants and the crystals can really do an amazing job to help us go through that stage. And there are some plants that are really typical. And then I also always ask for, like, I made some card sets about with plants that you can draw, whatever. So we can draw one for you if you want to, or we can
Oh,
test
bless you.
with a pendulum what plant would help you. And the thing is, usually I thought, oh, I'm not an homeopath, I'm not a doctor, whatever. I cannot give prescriptions, but what I can do, what we did in a shamanic way, you can call in the plant, like what we would do in the shamanic journey with Kindi or whatever. You could call in the plant to heal your heart or whatever. And I think it doesn't even matter if it's heartbreak or if it's grief or loss, because it all feels
Yeah,
the
it's the
same.
heart.
It feels like grieving. And like,
Yeah.
so typical plants for that are usually the wild rose is like as a Bach flower or as a tincture, whatever, because it really heals the heart. Or other ones are like, for example, if someone is really in shock, for example, when we got our puppy, he was so in shock that he was separated from his mom.
Oh.
That
And I just say, Meowie, one of the cats, that's why I was looking over there, has come to join us. He sat behind me.
he wants to listen. And
Yeah, well, he wants to send his love, bless him. He's up for adoption, so yeah, he's very, very gorgeous, very beautiful. I'll speak to you about. Oh, I'll speak to you about it now. If you know anybody who would love a loving, beautiful, gorgeous boy, he's behind me.
yeah. And or for example, so we gave him opium as a homeopathic remedy.
Oh, okay.
And like sometimes if I don't have the homeopathic remedies with me, then I just I don't know if you know this. It's a way that you say opium enters.
Yes, I do that. I remember from Christos 3 times across
Yeah.
here. Yeah, sorry, please explain. Yeah.
Then in German I say Opium geht in der Passenpotenz in mein System ein, heilt mich und bringt mich ganz in Harmonie. So it means opium enters my system and brings me in harmony, in complete harmony.
Balance and harmony. Gorgeous. It is so much about balance and harmony, isn't it?
Definitely.
What I was shown a while ago, I was in a friend's session, and I kept and anyway, we went on a journey, and I saw these beautiful flowers, and I thought these must be galactic flowers. I've never seen these before. They've got to be galactic flowers. In my imagination. And anyway, it was my aunt who recommended me to start taking passiflora for my menopause and my perimenopause. And I hadn't really looked at what they look like until the other day, because that's what's been helping me is passiflora. And I did a spray on the bottle the other day, and they're the flowers that I was shown.
They look like galactic flowers. They look so weird.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my, because I was saying, yeah, so this beautiful galactic flower came in with the purple and, describing afterwards. And I didn't know it was passionflower. So, yeah, thank you so much. So what were you saying? We could do a chart with me. You want to do that now, do you?
Yeah, like for example, I made this card spreads, and so I have different card spreads that I did for myself, and
Yeah.
then I just draw a card, or like we can test it with a pendulum if you wouldn't need to release the grief or whatever over Clio with any of the other ones. The typical ones that I usually use is natrium muriaticum, so that's the salt, the regular salt, because you know the story in the Bible where Lot's wife is turning around to see the destruction of the city or whatever, and they said don't turn around, and then she turned around, and then she was a column of salt. And exactly, so you need the salt to resolve if you feel completely frozen because of the grief.
Yeah. Because also, I mean, this whole series since December is dedicated to all of our beautiful guides who are over the Rainbow Bridge. And when I did the first solo episode after she passed, one of the messages that kept coming up for me to share was there's a big gap there. There's a huge gap, and our nervous system is trying to recalibrate, as well as all of, you know, the other beautiful guides who were her family as well, are all trying to recalibrate where we are. So this is why I loved what you said at the beginning, is that we cannot put a timeline on grief,
No.
because the minute we start pressurizing ourselves to say everything's fine and I'm okay, then our nervous system goes through the roof.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for saying that. I'd love to do that if you'd like to do that with me.
Yeah, I already have all my cards out and my everything. So also what always lifts the mood is vitamin D3, because it's the sun vitamin, obviously.
Look where I am.
Yeah, definitely. And Foster also told us when we were in the US last time that we should really try to make an Akka cord from our heart to the sun. That some Akka cords we want to break, obviously, to old relationships or whatever, but some we want to keep to.
We want to keep, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I really wanted to be there. I will be there. I am determined to be on a journey with everybody soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been really beautiful. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened yesterday, because obviously we were due to record. And what was so interesting was I woke up at 4:30, had a beautiful group session with Christos and Foster and everybody. And I woke up at 4:30 because I just dreamt, just at that moment, that Cleo had just come through the door. It wasn't the one of the dreams I had about her. It was on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Was whether it was the right time. Without going into all of it, that was the message. It was like me, and what was on my mind, what was in my heart was it the right time? Even though I know we have a departure date set in stone when we arrive. And even though I had all the messages, it couldn't happen couldn't happen any other way. If that hadn't have happened, something else would have happened. You know, all of that, because we doubt so much, and the guilt, etc., so forth. So it was really beautiful. I had this dream. So all she did was just come in the door. She'd just come in the door, and she was just sat there. And then I woke up at 4:30, and then I was feeling quite anxious. So I listened to a few of my journeys, my personal journeys that I share with everybody. So I listened to my morning gratitude, and then I was in the heart garden, and I listened to the full moon blessing as well. And I was still like, something doesn't feel right, not feeling right. Okay, I'm going to go into the medicine wheel and give another offering to Hecate. I'm going to give another offering to the Fae with kefir and honey in the oranges. And when I came back in, I still wasn't feeling quite right. And I thought I would just guided to look on my messages, and there was a message that, bless her, she had sent at 2:30 to tell me he'd passed. And my instant go-to was, I thought about her yesterday. Why didn't I get in touch? What could I have, was there anything I could have done? I was preparing myself for the beautiful session with Christos and Foster. So that was what was going on. And Basse, who passed, he was the one who wanted to speak to me when we spoke a few weeks ago. So I started thinking, well, did I mishear what he said? Was he asking for healing? And the message he gave me when I met him a few weeks ago, the way we are, because Barco, his brother, if you like, they're all the herd, the family, had passed a couple of weeks before Cleo. In September, and the message he gave me, he showed me a black stallion just running around free. And then he was saying to me, you need to start helping us. You need to start standing up and speaking up for animals. So then I started going into, this was yesterday, early hours, that, well, maybe that's not the message he gave me. Maybe actually he was saying, please, can you give me some healing so you can help me? And then I felt into his energy, and I just got the message, free will, and please send my love to everybody. So it was really, really beautiful. And it's really interesting that when we think, and I messaged Christos and Foster about this as well, is I thought what I was doing was resetting my nervous system after I had a near miss in the car, because Cleo passed, I had a near miss in the car, and before deciding about my next steps, etc., so forth, so let's rebalance my nervous system. What I didn't realize, I was rebalancing my nervous system whilst also thinking, well, I haven't done that. That needs to go out. What else can I share with people? What else is going to help them? So I actually wasn't balancing my nervous system at all. And I've been taking St. John's wort. I've been taking passionflower, as I mentioned, and various things. And I wasn't taking them every day. So it'd be interesting to see if there is something that come up in your cards. I just felt to share that because if there's anybody who's listening to this, it's a natural reaction. Yes, we are here for a human experience, and the human experience is to experience everything, absolutely everything. So when something happens, I immediately felt responsible for Ulbase passing. It's crazy. And I immediately felt responsible because I didn't get in touch because a couple of when you look on social media, a couple of the videos came up, and I had been thinking about her. And that's like going into savior mode. I could have saved them and all could have been well. So I was told very shortly, free will, and, just be there when she's ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And when you said this before, I really got goosebumps because that's the truth. You're like, they are fine. They are
Yeah.
fine. It's us
Yeah.
who worry.
Exactly.
And like Will Foster always said that animals are really here to balance the earth, and they also balance us in a way. And
Oh, yes.
and what you told about Cleo, I really had the feeling she was really there at 4:30 in the morning, because that's also when our loved ones visit us from the other side, and also that you dreamt that she went through the door is really like it's a dimensional door she went through, right?
Yeah, I've seen her.
Came to say hi and whatever, yeah. And
I've seen
yeah,
her a few times. Yeah.
yeah, you said that
And
in the video with what's her name?
with Esther, yeah,
With
exactly.
Esther,
And
yeah.
thank you for, yes, well, you heard all of that as well. So for those who are listening, if they haven't heard that, I came home one day, drove into the driveway, and there was a white cat there, just circling around and getting herself comfy to be under the bush, which is where Cleo used to like to be. Make sure wherever there was sun, that's where she wanted to be. And I stopped myself and I was like, okay, I'm grieving. Let's just check where all the other cats are and just make sure that, that is actually what I saw and I'm not making things up. And it was. There was no way it could have. There was absolutely no way. None of the other cats were around. Meowie behind me is white with little ginger ears and a ginger tail. And he was far away. He was not near that space. So, yes. So sorry. I just wanted people who are listening, if they hadn't heard that, just to explain what we're talking about.
Yeah. And while you were talking, I was testing with my pendulum what of the typical things that I give to people who are grieving could help you. So my typical go-tos that you can like put into yourself, like we said before, is
Yeah.
either
We can go through that so people can understand that as well.
yeah. Usually you take your index finger and you start at your third eye, and then you go to your to the how do you call
Pineal
it,
gland?
through the hairline back to the
Down to the
neck.
pineal gland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do this 3 times while you are saying this potency of this on this plant enters in the right frequency into my body to balance me and to bring me harmony or whatever. And usually what I do for
Gorgeous.
grief is either what we said about the salt, natrium muriaticum, or
Mm-hmm.
ignatia.
Or what, sorry?
Ignatia.
Ignatia.
And my favorite, all-time favorite that I get the biggest response always is aconite, aconitum.
Okay.
Because
Aconitum.
and that's the one I tested for you. And the interesting thing is if it's really that you're in some kind of initial shock, that you're still in a shock.
Really? I'm still in shock. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Because it happened so many people talk about this, don't they? It happened so quickly, and I think more of the shock for me was that I didn't listen to myself, and I went into the fear of my vet and put her in the car when we'd been meditating and chilling out and having beautiful time all day, to then change that atmosphere for her when she just wanted to rest and just be with me, you know. So and I've gone through that and gone through that, and then I guess the shock with the car, that was a bit of a shock. Had a near miss in the car, and it wasn't, and again, it's all nervous system, you know. It's, and I was reminded of when I was 21, and it's interesting what our body brings up to show us, because I thought I dealt with all of that. Nothing came up about Cleo with this. There wasn't anything that came up with Cleo. It was purely about this accident that I had when I was 21, when I was on a luckily I was on a dual carriageway because I went the wrong way. I was driving from Devon to London after visiting friends, and I had a blowout on the car, on the tyre, and I didn't know what that meant. The car just started going a bit weeby wobbly, so I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. I put the brake on, so the car turned around, and I went backwards up the central reservation, and it scraped all the way down the side. And as I said, luckily that happened there and not when I was on a main motorway, because I'd gone the wrong way. So somebody was definitely looking out for me. And it was really interesting because that came up, and I was like, oh, right, okay, well, that's come up. And what happened was, with my near miss, I ended up with a puncture. You know, the tyre was completely gone, and I was very close to home, so I managed to get back. And there were HGVs coming towards me, and things on the other side. And the space where I started veering off the road, there was absolutely nothing there. So again, I was being massively looked after. And I just got myself, and it did feel like a bit of a metaphor. And I spoke about this in a solo episode. It did feel like a bit of a metaphor of distraction and then getting back on track. So yeah. It's interesting. Shocks come up then. Okay, well, yes, that would. So I'm still in shock.
Yeah, so the three things that came up when I asked was the vitamin D, which is the sun, like what we talked about, that lifts the spirit and also prevents all illnesses, or what means prevent. I mean, it can prevent a lot of illnesses if your vitamin D level is high enough.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced, as I said to you, perimenopause, menopause. I know the vitamin D levels go down, and a couple of years ago, I had really, really low. Sounds bananas. Living in Spain, I had really low vitamin D levels and had to take supplements for it. And being vegan, I don't take the supplements that the doctors want to give me because I don't want anything else in it. So I take vitamin D and K2.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think the message is just make sure I keep taking them every day, because I hadn't been.
Probably. And the funny thing is, the other thing that came up is and vitamin D can also heal old wounds, even
Yeah,
mental
yeah.
wounds, and old injuries and whatever, that it can heal it.
Well, Stolas, for example, Stolas from the Goetia. I was working with Stolas, and I think that was before I had the conversation on the 23rd with Ilva, because I spoke to Ilva and Esther on the same day. I wouldn't normally do two conversations. It was just like, no, speak to them both today. I was like, okay. And it was, I'd worked with Stolas, who, as you know, helps release old wounds, old pains. So yeah, that would make sense that that's come up as well. Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And so it's aconite for the shock, vitamin D, and arnica. And arnica is so funny. It where I live here, we find it in the mountains still.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
smiling because one of my family members said he wants to use tea tree oil. He's ordered some tea tree oil, and I said, well, I've got some of that. I said, it's going to hurt though. It's going to sting. And as I was going into the bathroom to get it, to show it to him so he could smell it, I started thinking about arnica. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
funny. So
smiling.
it already came
Yeah.
to you. It already, and what I do is, like Susanne Foster said in this shamanic journey, like where you meet Kinti, that you just call the plant to you.
It was Kimsey who introduced me to butterfly PT. I'd
Mm.
never ever heard of this before. I was like, butterfly pea? What's that? So actually, you've mentioned Kimchi. I've just been told I need to get some more butterfly pea tea. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because Annika is, if you even have a weak memory because of trauma, uh,
Yeah.
it's if you have fears, if you're a little bit or anxious, and also it should you should always take it if you are having some chiropractical work done on you or some osteopathy or whatever, because it supports the body if you have some treatments done on you. And
That's amazing to know, because at the same time after Cleo passed, my normal lovely lady who was coming every week to do my back, she had a complete problem with her back. I haven't seen her for months, and so I wasn't having the body work that I would be having. And then a very beautiful friend who has moved away, I just messaged her because I could just feel it all, and my body was saying, please help me. And she gives the most beautiful, an hour and a half to 2 hours, most beautiful, complete. And she's very, very spiritual, very, very healing as well. And she came to see me, and I cried every day since Cleo passed. And after she'd been to see me, I think Arnica would have really helped
yeah,
because
because
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it even lifts the spirits. Like if you are feel like very depressed because of the grief or whatever, and
yeah.
it also heals old injuries. But like the plants do so much more than just heal us physically. They also
Yeah, of
heal our
course.
mental and emotional states.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love is that my family member is looking up all these alternatives, because he's been taking something for his stomach called omeprazole. And I said to them the other day, I said, well, all medication from big farmers comes from plants. And then he repeated back exactly what I said to him. I don't think he heard what I said. And I was like, yeah, that's what. And then anyway, fast forward a few days later, he's been on the internet looking everything up, and he's bought alternatives. This is like miracle of miracles. He's bought alternatives to help him instead of taking big pharma.
That's
Yay.
great.
And it was gorgeous because I invited them to, without saying exactly what it is and going into it too much, I invited them to join me in a New Year ritual. And he was a bit like, oh, what's this? And anyway, since then, this is all, transpired, which is rather lovely.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, okay, so yeah, that would make sense with the shock and the memory loss, because a lot of times, recently, I felt, oh, it's just brain fog from perimenopause and menopause, and I have been forgetting things and various bits going on. I mean, I've still been, getting on with things and speaking to people and being there. And like I said at the beginning, what I thought really looking after myself, whilst there's been this little narrative of, because I felt to release in Green December 3 offerings for everybody, and I only released one. And it was my conscious cocooning 22 days pathways to self-love, which is beautiful. And I've been through the process so many times myself. And I was like, well, what about the inner journeys? And what about the Karas method? And blah, blah, blah. So whilst I've been resetting my system, that's been going on as well. So yeah, thank you. That would make so much sense, because my body's still recalibrating, and I was on my own for 4.5 months before the other people who live in the house came back, just before Christmas. So that's all happening as well. I'm still working out like their energies and integrating that, because all I've had is pure energy of my beautiful feline guides around me. So the shock element makes sense. So what would you say to somebody then? So thank you. We've gone through this. So we have the beautiful advantage that we've been studying with Christos and Foster. Can anybody do this, or would you recommend they come and speak to you, or they speak to a practitioner with homeopathy? What would you suggest?
Well, of course they can come to me,
Yeah.
but if they have the feeling that a plant calls them or whatever, they can call the plant into them to just ask them to help them.
And
And
how do they do that? I mean, we know.
I would just like you can. There are different ways to get in contact with a plant. Of course, most of us did the ritual with the master witch and whatever to really connect with the
Yeah.
plant world or whatever. Um, it's important that you are always respectful with plants, that you ask for permission, that you give a little bit tobacco or whatever as an offering before you take something of the plant. But here in this case, I'm not advising to take it internally. It's more something like energetically. If you like
Okay.
do this with the index finger, or you can also write the name of the plant on a piece of paper and put a glass of water on it.
Yeah.
Usually I write down the Latin name to differentiate between different species, or
Mhm.
you can also look at a picture of the plant that also has depending on if you're more visual or if you have the feeling, or if you have a good imagination and you can really imagine the plant in front of you and just ask the plant to melt with you or to nature you.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it depends on what your personal preferences are, how you want to connect with the plant, or you can even ask the plant if it's not poisonous, if you can pick it and just sleep, put it under your pillow and sleep on it, or put it in a vase if you have a real plant or whatever, or yeah.
Yeah. And anybody who's feeling that this is a bit much, they can just get in touch with you and you can guide them through.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely to find the right plant if they don't have the feeling that they can do it by themselves.
Mm. Beautiful. Because you know, as I said before, we have the advantage that we've been studying with Christos and Foster for many years, and it's not that we're up there and other people down there. We're all just at different levels. We're all the same people. We're just at different levels of experience. So it's, if anybody is listening, watching, and this is really resonating, please do get in touch with Susanne. She is amazing. Well, as you can hear. And I mean, obviously, we're using me as a demo, which is brilliant. And I'm being very, very honest about what's happening with me as well. So I will share this so people can hear. Is that because you mentioned about the cards? Do you want to do the cards with me, or is that what you've already done?
I drew some of the cards. This is what I drew from my cards. Yeah.
And these are cards that you've created.
Yeah, I have different card decks, like about different topics, like one about numerology and about runes and about the I Ching and things like that. But I made them more for myself to really help me with the clients, that I'm quicker, that I don't have to look everything up, but that they draw a card what's the right thing at the moment for them, or where they are standing
Awesome.
in their relationship, or whatever. So it's a tool for me to help myself. Or for example, I for the last 5 years I did every Monday or Tuesday shamanic journey with people, and for half an hour before we did some other topics, and then sometimes I had too many topics to choose from, and I always have I have difficulties to make a decision sometimes. So I
Mm-hmm.
created these coaching cards where I wrote different topics on the coaching cards. It's like 40 card spread, and then you can choose from, do you need a sound healing, do you need a shamanic journey? Do you need whatever? You know what I mean? Do you
Yeah,
need
it's so beautiful.
a
What an
deep?
absolutely gorgeous gift. Wow, the cards. I love that. Can people buy that from you as well? Can they buy the cards, or are they just for yourself at the moment?
The coaching cards I'm selling, the other ones are more for myself.
Okay. Because the reason I ask this is I just got the message that please offer them to other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, please offer the other cards as well. Because I was told to have something ready in May, and I did last year. And I worked with Hecate, with the Fae, and it was for Beltane, and I completed, and and it's still not out in the world yet. And it's called the Shadowmancer, and it's a collection of poems that speak to your shadow. And I was wondering whether to make them into cards, or whether it's me with my voice and people can hear me under the medicine wheel and I'm speaking the words to them. So it's really beautiful we're having this conversation, because I am being encouraged to say to you, please share all that you have. And perhaps that's the same for me.
Yeah, it often goes both ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the cards, I just love cards. I love working with cards. I worked with cards since I'm 15. Like I started with the Toss
Yeah.
Tarot cards, and so I just drew them for myself. Or then I saw, oh, it's true what's written on the card and whatever, or in the booklet,
Yeah.
and so then I started putting cards for other people and whatever, and I was really just amazed out about how the Lenormand and the tarot was always so spot on with the topics and what they shared. And so I just love cards because they are, to me, quicker and more effective and more. It's like the compost was.
They're like that, aren't they? I mean, well, anyway, spoiler alert, the poems that I've created are 22, and they're based on the energies of each of the arcana. I love cards as well. I love cards. So, for whatever reason, I'm being told to say to you, please share all of your cards. So,
Yeah.
take that as you will, my lovely. So, um, so in terms, because obviously we were talking about how the project with the land and with the humans and the healing. So you're doing that mainly online now. So you're coaching people online. How does that all work at the moment?
Well, most of the people are also coming, either they're coming here or I'm coaching them on the phone. Uh,
Okay. Oh, so they're
they
coming personally to you as well. They can do that.
they can do that, and I do family constellations with them here, or coachings. Coachings, and also on the phone it works as well. I was really surprised. I started to try this with one of my friends when COVID hit, because then we couldn't visit each other and do family constellations. So I was
Yeah.
like, why don't we try to do the family constellations over the phone? I really need your help. And so we wrote down the same on a piece of paper, the same names that we wanted to work with, and then I stood on the name and I told her what I was feeling, and she stood on the name and she told me what she was feeling, and then
Amazing.
through the phone we resolved it, and I had
Awesome.
amazing results with that. Like I can also share one example that really
Yeah, please
convinced
do.
me of the effectivity of family constellation that still blows my mind today. So I had one woman, and her husband had recently passed, and so she was also grieving and whatever. And first of all, when we put her husband there, I was on the standing on him, and what I could feel that my heart was all of a sudden was hurting, and he passed of a heart attack. So this was the one thing. And then I always ask the customers, so what's your current age? Because it's like the horary astrology, also always a meaning at what age you are coming to me to resolve a certain issue.
Sure.
Like how you are looking at times and what's the best time today to talk. It's also
Hmm.
important, like what age are these people when they're coming. And
Yeah.
she
I
said,
mean, I go with the planetary hours, and I really want to speak to you in Venus hour. So
yeah,
that's why.
exactly. And she said she's currently 69. And I said, okay, so what happened? Tell me what happened when you went 6, and tell me what happened when you went 9. And
Ooh.
she said she cannot remember what happened when she was 6. And then we did a shamanic journey, and she remembered that one of her cousins touched her inappropriately. We saw that in the journey. So that's the first thing we resolved, and we brought the soul part back that she lost from this incident, and turned the belief system around that she had about that situation. And
Hmm.
then I said, okay, now tell me what happened when you were 9. And she said, she was vomiting because she had this inflammation in the brain that where you can even lose your hearing and everything if you have this. And
Hmm.
so she was vomiting, and her sister hit her, and because she was taking care of her, or yeah, because her mother didn't have time or whatever. And so I said, okay, so let's put you and your sister, and I stand on the place, on the piece of paper with the name of your sister, and you stand on your own piece of paper where we write your name. It was over
Yeah.
the phone, so she had the same two pieces of paper, and so she said, okay, it was really unfair that you hit me, because I was feeling really, really sick, and I was even afterwards in the hospital because of that, and it was really bad, and you just hit me, and I felt treated unfairly. And then I was standing on the sister, and I said, I'm so sorry, but I felt really overwhelmed because it wasn't even my job to take care of you because you're my sister and I'm not your mother. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt really overwhelmed with that I had to take
The
care of you.
responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was too much for me because I was just your sister. I wasn't even your caretaker and whatever. And my mother just made me like,
Yeah.
that I have to
Wow.
take care of you,
Yeah.
whatever. And okay, so it was all good. Like we left it at that. And 2 or 3 days later, she called me and she said, "You're never gonna guess what happened." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "My sister called me after 60 years, and she said, I don't know if you remember, but I hit you one time when you were vomiting, and I'm so sorry. I just felt so overwhelmed
No.
because my mother forced me to take care of you, and I didn't even want to. I didn't want to do all this, and I'm so sorry."
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. Did you say she hadn't spoken to her sister for 60 years or
Well,
16? 60.
60.
60. She
60.
hadn't spoken to her sister for
Well,
60 years.
well, they spoke, but they never mentioned this topic.
Wow. Wow.
And it was always standing in between of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it still makes me cry today because till today, because this was the most profound experience I ever had with family constellations.
That's so, so beautiful. What a gift.
Yeah.
That's just gorgeous.
And since then I really have the feeling that I even if we have the feeling nothing happens, that Foster sometimes says, oh, even if you sometimes have the feeling that a ritual didn't work, it always has an effect, even if you cannot see it or feel it or immediately
Mm,
get a response, it
mm.
always has an effect. And that was to me the most incredible. Yeah, because before I was like, yeah, okay, I think it works, or it's good that you get this off your chest if you say it and whatever, it brings you relief. But that it
A few
has,
days later.
but that the other person can feel it and that it has an
Mm,
effect on the other
mm,
person. And
mm.
I can share even one more astonishing
One.
thing, but it was more about a shamanic journey, not a family constellation, if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
So I had I wrote an article about smoking, and
Hmm.
I wrote it on Facebook that you either smoke because you want to put a wall between you and other people,
Yeah.
or because you have too much fire and you don't live it because you're in the wrong job and you're frustrated and you just smoke to whatever.
Wow,
Then my
that's an interesting take. I've not heard I've heard about, smoke and mirrors and leaving a complete like barrier. That's really interesting. And as I said that, Meow, he went off for a wander and he's back behind my back again and he's just cuddled into me like that.
And there might also be another reason. And so one of my ex-colleagues, she called me and she said, I read your article. Can you also do something for me? I really, really want to quit smoking. And I'm like, yeah, there are some rules or whatever. But first of all, my first thing is always, I'm going to test. I am the right person. Can I really help you? Because I don't want to just do something without any effect, that
Yeah.
frustrates me. I
Yeah.
really want to help people. So I tested, yeah, I can help her. Okay. So then I tested what shall we do to resolve this issue. And then I tested that we should do a shamanic journey. So we did the shamanic journey, and what she saw was she's like with the like I have this shamanic journey um, to retrieve soul parts and also change the old belief system, and it's a shamanic journey. That's my favorite one, and I do it. Then you go to 3 huts, and in the first one, you see the what happened, whatever happened, either in a past life or in your ancestry or when you were a child.
Mm-hmm.
And what she saw was that moment when she went to bed and her mom would close the door and switch off the light. And she said that she always said, "Mommy, please don't switch off the light. I'm afraid of the dark. Please don't switch off the light." And
Mm.
in that moment, what she got was that the cigarette for her was the light that she needed because she was still afraid of the dark. And that was the last day she ever smoked a cigarette.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing.
Just this
Wow.
recognition, because it's just in your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So these
So
were my biggest ahas.
yeah, no, I love it. I'm still in a aha moment. I'm still well, you did say I'm in shock. I'm in shock about this as well. Wow, that's so incredibly beautiful and just beautiful validation and confirmation as well, isn't it? That just the beautiful work that when you work with such authenticity. And I love that I say to people as well, let's see if we resonate before we do anything. So I love that you feel into if that feels right for you. Maybe what we could do if you wanted to, I don't mean necessarily now, is at another time, maybe I could take you through something that might help you, and likewise, and we can do a little share if you like.
Of course.
Something came up for some reason to say that anyway. So, so we were talking about. So you have your cards there at the moment, and we're not going to go into a shamanic journey. For some reason, it's coming through, and I've got the medicine wheel open, and we're being open, authentic, honest about everything. Something is coming through, and I don't know why it's saying your coaching cards.
Yeah.
Something's coming through for me to say to you, look at your coaching cards. And I whether that's to talk to us about it so people can hear about how
Yeah.
they can work with you, or whether it's like a demo with me, I don't know.
I can. So these are my coaching cards. Sometimes they have a different cover because I sometimes change the covers. And then I have I have my logo in the front.
Gorgeous.
And then I have like the different oh god. I have to,
See them. Oh wow, yeah, beautiful.
so I just have the logo on one side and what's written on the other side. So I have, for example, I can read some topics if you want to, and we can draw one for you. What's most relevant for you?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
breathwork is the right thing for you.
Sorry.
Breathwork.
Yeah, I know. You can hear that I've been coughing. I have been doing. Yeah.
Breathwork,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I wrote down there about the pranayama a little bit. Like I always have some suggestions what you can do. Like first what you should do and then how you can apply it. For example, that you start with a 3-4-3-4 breath and then the goal would be a 20-20-20-20 master
Yeah.
breath or whatever, or to do some fire breathing from yoga or whatever. So whatever
Gorgeous.
feels right for you, or pranayama breathing or whatever.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I went through my 22-day process myself. And oh my gosh, how am I going to do my breathing? Because it's 5-5-5 I do at the beginning. So thank you. I'm gonna start doing that again, because I can hear. When you said about the shock, you can hear how much quicker I'm talking as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely. If you want to, I can also read some topics from like what the cards are about, what are the different. So it's 40 topics. And shall I read some?
yeah. If you'd like to, my lovely, I would just like people to experience it. And like I said, I got the message that this is to be shared. So
Yeah. So this one is about how to retrieve your energy. And I
yeah.
think the two things that over the years I realized are the most necessary is that you take back your energy from all the situations where you lost it.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And the second thing is that you release all the old emotions from your body.
Beautiful.
from old situations.
Interestingly, I did a little intro at the beginning and said we're going to be feeling into how we can prepare for the fire horse. And this is what we're talking about, isn't it? Because we're in January, the last full month of the wood snake. So we're still doing that little shedding. And what I was really feeling was about just being really soft with ourselves because of the sensitive skin of the shedding and preparing ourselves for the momentum of the fire horse. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, because you have to release all the old, and then
Yeah,
you have to take back your power that you can go forward with all your power and might, all the things you
absolutely.
lost.
And we know techniques to do that. Would you like to share some techniques that you?
Yeah, so the next thing is already like what I just mentioned, to do a soul retrieval.
Yeah,
Then the Bach flowers are really amazing. They are helping me every day with all the emotional, uh, to balance your emotions, basically, to bring an
yeah.
equilibrium with your emotions.
Because
Then,
we spoke earlier, and we haven't mentioned this yet, that for the year 9, can I talk about this? What you mentioned? Because you're a pig, you in Chinese astrology. Because you're a pig, you were saying how you're the enemy of the snake, and so you took preventative measures, which is incredible. So, did you want to talk about that a little bit? Is that okay?
of course, like usually you look for the friends, that, like, the friend of the snake is the rooster and the ox. So
Yeah,
either you wear an amulet of the ox or the rooster. So and I have one of, no, that's the wrong one. I have one of Abrasax, an amulet, and he's a basilisk. So he's half snake, half rooster. And so I did a ritual for him to protect me over the whole year of the snake.
amazing.
So yeah, just,
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
yeah.
So, going forward to the fire horse, because there's going to be enemies and friends with the fire horse. So, would you recommend people to have a look in advance? It's not about scaremongering. It's preventative, isn't it? So it's just
Yeah.
seeing how you align with the next Chinese astrological year, which is also our lunar year. And obviously the moon is all emotions, etc., as we know, and balancing. So to see, and as I'm speaking, I've got my gorgeous Tigray who's just walked past me on the other side. Oh, and he just ran off. Excellent. He's playing. He's reminding me to play. So would you recommend people to check where they are? And then where do they find out what kind of talismans to work with? Is that something you can help them with?
Definitely, or they can just look it up. For example, they can look up what their sign is in Chinese astrology, and
Yeah.
then what the friend of the horse is, what the friend of the horse is, and then if they are the enemy of the horse, as a Chinese astrological sign, then they would need to. Only then they would need to
Yeah, prevent.
become
Yeah,
the
absolutely. So that's
friend
what I'm saying. Not
of the horse.
scaremongering. It's just being prepared. For example, I'm a dragon, and so the the year of the snake was very interesting for me because it was all about grounding and obviously shedding and releasing what no longer serves, and it was painful, and it has been for a lot of people. So I do feel with this month and just going into up to February the 17th, it's just being really kind to ourselves. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think it has been much more calm. It has almost been too calm for me because like I almost get,
Well, you're
I'm
a
like,
warrior, so
I want to do something. What, like, yeah,
yeah. So basically, the not basically the advice out there is to be gentle and calm with ourselves,
yeah,
and then rather than, I mean, obviously, we've mentioned about the shock with me and the breathing. One of my situations that I've been working with for years is my lungs, because I remember Christos saying, when you have psychic abilities, it affects your lungs, and so was it last year or the year before? I didn't have enough oxygen in my blood, and it was for 3 weeks. I couldn't move. I was in bed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink, and that was a whole kind of shedding of itself. That was a couple of years ago, and then it's reminded me to be really mindful with my lungs, and then with everything that's happened, because in the last few episodes I've been very honest with about what's been happening with me, because it's almost as if I've been like a conduit to share what's happening with me. So hopefully whoever's hearing, watching, is having a healing with themselves as they see, you know, my process and my realizations, and oh yeah, that makes sense. And especially as you're talking to me as well, my gorgeous, so thank you. And I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Right, yes. So I was talking about, see, there we go, Arnica, I need Arnica. And we were talking about how I mentioned how, so I didn't have enough oxygen in my blood. Basically, everything was shutting down. It wasn't working. And it wasn't until I actually did go and see a doctor, and they said, because all my bronchial tubes were closed over, you know, I was coughing. There was a lot going on without getting graphic about it. And it was like, hang on a minute, I'm vegan. I don't drink alcohol. You know, what's going on? And it took me back to what Christos was saying, is when, and I know with the lungs as well, it's old emotions. I know it's old emotions as well. So it took me back to
Or
what
grief.
Christos, sorry, or
Or
grief. Old grief, exactly, because this is I think this is where I was wanting to go here, because we're talking about grief, and I've mentioned this as you listen to in the other episode. I mentioned that grief isn't just about losing somebody or your beautiful beings around you. It can also be, it's grief of losing your old self, so your old habits as well. That can put you into shock because your body is trying to adjust, your nervous system is trying to adjust. So it's not just, yes, these episodes are all dedicated to our beautiful guys over the Rainbow Bridge. What we're also talking about is the grief of a relationship ending because you've finally said no. You finally put yourself first, and that can be in friendships, that can be intimate relationships, that can be, you know, employment, to a boss that hasn't been particularly pleasant to you, and you finally said, actually, that's enough, and you've gone. Or the universe has said, this isn't right for you anymore, and you may have had a shock experience that feels like a shock. There's actually a blessing in disguise, and you're working through, trying to feel into, and your body's trying to navigate with this new space. So that's also grief, isn't it?
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
I had the feeling that especially this year I was really going through a lot of shedding in relationships, and
Yeah.
as well, customer relationships, personal relationships, partnerships, friendships, and
Yeah.
it's always the thing that's hardest for me because I always have an issue with letting go. I always question, could I have done something more, or uh, like, but what really made it easy for me in the end was when I realized how this relationship wasn't uplifting to me anymore, but it was really dragging me down. And also, for example, if I observe with other people that uh, what they do to other people, they will do to you. And do I want this in my life? And I decided this is nothing I want in my life. And also people that are not reliable, that have no integrity, that play ping pong with your heart, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
This is also something like it's also putting firmer boundaries to protect yourself in a way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it doesn't
absolutely.
mean that it's easy or that
No.
it's pain free, or you
No.
know, so you are also grieving, and with the tears you're also shedding and letting go of the attachment in a way.
Beautiful. And we had a session with Christos and Foster on Sunday night, and one of the things that came up really strongly, and you've said about it, is observing, just observing. And we've already mentioned about me being in shock, and my breath work, etc. And one of my intentions is not jumping in, because throughout, and I found this and I'm observing how I was in the year of the snake, and obviously we just got that last month, and one of my observations was with perimenopause, menopause, emotions, whatever was going on, I was jumping into things rather than taking measured, grounded. And even though I knew, and I spoke about it in podcasts, this is the year for making grounded, measured decisions, I was jumping into things without really thinking about it, just kind of almost like in a panic stricken, oh yes, well, that hasn't worked, so let me try this now. That hasn't worked, so let me try this now. Rather than stepping back and going, okay, so this is what my conclusion that I've come to is for this year, before I take any action in any offerings, any action in inviting any special guests, any action in collaborating with anyone, I'm observing. I'm observing my body. I'm observing my nervous system. Even before I have a conversation, like, how do I feel about this? So, for example, yesterday when I received that news, my body just said no to us talking yesterday. And today, it's just felt really like, oh, I can breathe. You know, it's felt really beautiful listening to my body and listening to my nervous systems, like, wholeheartedly. I was so looking forward to speaking to you yesterday. And I did go through that whole thing. Well, we arranged the time, we arranged the date. Is she going to be okay with it? And it was like, just message her. Just message her. And it's 3 Kings today, which is a very beautiful day in Spain. Very special day. So it's very beautiful that we're talking about 3 Kings. We're talking about taking our power back and really leaning into our sovereignty and being who we truly are rather than who everybody else wants us to be. And as much as I've spoken about this in solo podcasts, I've gone through this with people, it can still come back, can't it? We can still go, it's interesting you talk about family constellations, we can still go back into that kind of stereotypical daughter, sister, wife, brother, that kind of, that people-pleasing element. It's still very much there. And for me, what my clarity has been is coming in for this year and then going to the fire horses. It's just sacred pause. Cleo had her final sacred pause, and then it's shown me that there is a reason I'm saying this. It's shown me where I've jumped into here, and here. And even before Cleo passed, I had this pain all the way down my arm and all over my shoulder for 3 weeks. I couldn't move my arm. And it was as if my body was preparing for her to go. And then since she's passed, it's the recalibration. It's the realizing that actually the important things is living with heart. The important things, authenticity. The important things is not running ourselves ragged because of shoulds. And again, I've spoken about this so much about shoulda, woulda, couldas. It's when we apply it to ourselves as well. It's embodying it for ourselves, because with the energy of the eclipses that we had, with the energy of the wood snake, and you had Abraxas, which we'd spoken at the beginning of the year, and with that energy of the wood snake, and we all chose to come here, we all chose to be here so we can help with the divine feminine and moving towards a much more heart-based world. It's going to come with shedding. It's going to come with where we have shown up to fit into society, where we're releasing those layers of performance masks of I'm showing up so you'll like me. That is when we realize, actually, this is what I'm talking about from an observing point of view. This is when we can look at that, and you've just said it. Is this healthy for me? Is this situation actually serving my highest good? Am I on a vibrational match with these people? And if we're not, and if we don't do something about it, the universe will inadvertently come in and do that for us. So I do feel a lot of us have been through that this year, and just talking about going to the clarity and the observation, I thank you for mentioning that, because I do feel January is about observing and integrating what happened last year. Would you agree?
Definitely. It's a time of transition, and to look back and ultimately to look forward. And it's also Janus is the god of January, and it's also this god of two faces, of the future and the past. You know, that you look into the future and look into the past. And I think that's what we are, where we are now. We are exactly at the right point at the moment.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that. I didn't know that about Janos of the looking at. I didn't. Wow, I love that. And that is exactly where we are, isn't it? Absolutely where we are. And
Yeah,
so thank you for sharing so beautifully of what happened with you last year as well. And you were, shedding. I think we all have been, because we're being prepared, aren't we, for to being like a blank canvas to forge forward into the chariot of the fire horse.
definitely. And also, if you the decision that you have to make for yourself is, do you want to step up and go into the next dimension, or do you want to get stuck where you are at? And
Yeah.
sometimes, if you want to go into the next dimension, you have to let go of some baggage. Also, people.
Mm. Yes. I agree. I concur. So, what would you say to somebody who is going through? So, basically, as I was describing, what grief is not only losing somebody; it can be losing somebody to another dimension, to another plane. It can be, losing that person out of your life, and they're still here. What would you say to somebody who is going through something like that at the moment, and they have shared relationships, they have shared, maybe they've left a place, because it's about people, places, things that don't work as well. So perhaps they've left a habit, maybe they've stopped drinking, maybe they've stopped smoking, and maybe because they've stopped doing that, the friendship circle has undoubtedly changed. And maybe they're feeling a little isolated, a little lonely, because they're in that kind of cocoon stage, before, because they've done the shedding, they've gone into the cocoon to nurture themselves. Maybe they don't realize this is what's happening for them. What would you say to anybody who's resonating with this and not quite sure where to go next? What would you say to them?
I think, first of all, I would say congratulations on being so brave to step out of your comfort zone, because
Yeah.
most of the people will never make it because they don't look at themselves, they don't look at their shadows, and they don't want to change, so they resist change. So this is already, yeah, congratulations for your bravery, and then to just keep going, just keep doing what you're doing, and because you already made the most important step, just stick with
Beautiful.
it.
Yeah, keep going. That's our mantra, isn't it? Keep going, keep going.
And the fire horse will help you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And people can reach out to you as well, can't they? So they can have, and it doesn't necessarily have to be yourself or myself. If they resonate with somebody, do you highly suggest as well that they reach out to that person? Because sometimes people can say, oh, yeah, I can look on AI and get the answers. AI is not a human being, AI doesn't have a heart.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I also sometimes work with AI to get some clarity on some dreams, and it's helpful, but it cannot replace a person.
no. I mean, I've worked with AI um, in such a way because I wasn't ready to speak about things. And so what's been great for me with AI is I've managed to train it so it understands how to speak to me, not to give me fluff, not to give me BS, not to say what thinks I want to hear. And just like that supportive guidance. So sometimes it's good in terms of if you've got it tuned in, so you're just talking to yourself basically. And then what that gave me the freedom to do was kind of feel into things myself, because as we mentioned before, we're all at different levels, we're all at different levels of experience. And you mentioned freeze before, I was freezing because I didn't want to speak to anybody, I didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to go anywhere. I just And I knew that I needed some answers. So that's how it helped me. And then as I kind of got some gentle guidance from myself, if you like, then it allowed me to go, right, okay, who do I need to speak to now? Now I can start reaching out to friends. Now I can start inviting people to come on, and we can And the huge message that I got, because I wrote a poem about Cleo and I was trying to read it to my, her fur family, my fur family, to Tigray, Coco, and Mr. G, and Meowie, who's still behind me, and I couldn't get through it. And I was told, just go online. I was like, what? Are you effing kidding me? The message that I got through, not an AI, by the way, the message that I got through very, very clearly just channeled into me. Share it. Share it on Instagram. Share it on Facebook. Go live. Pardon. So I did. And I hope it helped people. It was about, that was the first message that I got, is instead of hiding that you're grieving, share that you're grieving so we can help each other. And this is what all of these episodes are about. So yeah,
Definitely.
thank you. Yeah.
And I was laughing almost because the most obvious tree is behind you, because it's an olive, right?
Yeah. This is
And this
it's
is
the tree of
the
love. Can you see the
and
heart
also,
carved?
yeah, and it's also the tree as a Bach flower. If you are grieving, it's also one of the things that you can take. And you can even drink
I
the.
call her the tree of love because she's naturally got a heart shape in her. And this is where my medicine wheel as well. I've got the medicine wheel open at the moment. This is where Cleo and I would come in, and whenever I open the wheel with compassion, gratitude, and love, the cats come in. I ask for my guides, and they all come in. I
Yeah.
love that. So the olive tree, because the pine tree is about self-compassion, isn't it? So the olive tree is about self-love. Is that right? And grief.
Pine is also about protection, and the
Yeah.
olive, you can also it helps you also with the transition or whatever, if you're grieving or whatever. And for example, the gorse, the with the yellow flowers, it's more either like it helps also with the transition if people want to die, or that you make a decision, do you want to die or do you want to stay. And
Yeah.
the olive, you can even drink the leaves as a tea. And also the olive oil has a lot of antioxidants, and it's also like you can use it also as the protection oil with rosemary, as a blessing and protection oil.
That's gorgeous, because whenever I've gone to the cemetery, well, it's not a cemetery. Well, it's a crematorium really, because they don't bury in Spain. It's crematoriums. I've always used olive oil all over me for going in with Daddy Death, having it on my ankle, my wrists and my ankles. And it's so funny because it was yesterday actually. I was looking through the cupboards, because we're both going through clearing at the moment, and it was this beautiful olive oil that I bought, which was a bio olive oil, and it's like, Aline, start putting that on your skin. And the fact that you've just mentioned that about antioxidants, and the fact that because I also love working with essential oils as well. I love just feeling into, and I've been working with frankincense and castor oil on my skin a lot recently.
Me too,
And
yeah.
frankincense is so healing.
I'm also using the castor oil and the frankincense every morning.
Excellent. Yeah, well, yeah, and it's beautiful. It's just instantly healing, isn't it? Gorgeous. So yeah, thank you for saying that. That's so funny, is that you're laughing because I'm under an olive tree. There's 5 olive trees in the garden, 5 which and yeah, it's just beautiful. It really, really beautiful. I'm going to let you say something, my lovely, because I can actually feel like I'm either going to fly off, or I'm kind of, I feel like I'm almost just going to be quiet a minute. Hang on a sec. Yeah, I think I'm possibly at capacity, because I feel like I'm about to shoot off, like leave my body.
Yeah.
And I've got rose here and black tourmaline here to keep me here. Feeling that it's over to you to speak or channel or say something that somebody needs to hear. That's the message
Yeah.
that I've just got.
So the insight I got twice now about also what I still want to mention is that if you have the feeling that you have a situation where you are still in some kind of shock, like what you mentioned, for example, either with your cat or from this old accident, usually in that moment we do the freezing and we never get out of this state of freeze
Yeah.
state. So
Yeah.
what you can do is that you imagine from your future self that you reach out with your hand to this situation and pull yourself out of the situation and bring yourself back, like similar what you would do to rescue your inner child from the house where you grew up in. And this brings you back and out of this shock state. Or you can imagine that you in this situation as if you would be screaming loud, because like this screaming gets you out of this shock state.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also what you're mentioning about this wanna that you wanna fly off or whatever, I also have this quite a lot, or had this a lot. And it always helps me to call the plants for that. So like the angel's trumpet or whatever, it's also if you leave your body and whatever, that it
Yeah.
brings you back into your body, things like that, if you have had some trauma experiences, or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I haven't had that for ages. I just felt like I was about to rock it off. I'm back now. It might have just been for me to step out the way and allow you to speak. It
Yeah.
did. It felt like I was about to, I don't know, to go off to another dimension, which is wonderful. Not in the middle of a podcast episode, though. Do some astral traveling. Yeah, you carry on. I'll be back in a minute.
I also have the feeling that sometimes things happen, or we get guided, or whatever, that we get to a certain point, or talk about certain things that are really relevant for people that are listening at that
Yeah,
moment. So
yeah, completely.
also,
I mean, probably the entire conversation will be on here, to be fair. Because I mean, before I wouldn't necessarily share everything that's going on with me, and I have been. And it's not about me. It's not about me, because the feeling that I got before, I'm grounding now. I've been told to hold my black tourmaline here, because the feeling that I got before was a while ago. It was like, well, if I start talking about my experiences, that's just like me, 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 me. It's like, it's not about you. You're speaking for the collective. You're speaking so people can hear your process, and invite people to speak about this. So, okay, let's do this then.
yeah,
So thank you
definitely.
so much for coming, my lovely. I really, really appreciate it. It's been gorgeous, really gorgeous.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to share all of your details so people can get in touch with you, and they can find your cards, and they can get in touch with you to have sessions. And do you have any closing words that you would like to share?
I think it's, for me this year, it's really to put myself first.
Yeah, beautiful. Ho.
Oh,
So much love, gorgeous. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to share all of your details, and I love you very much.
likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do get in touch. We love to hear from you. So much love.